Yes. So thank you for coming to this Chinese media roundtable. This will be a very important occasion and also give you an opportunity to ask questions unfiltered. And the man next to me doesn't need any further introduction, but for formality, I'm going to give a brief introduction. So Mr. Pierre Poilievre is the leader of the opposition in Canada and leader of the Conservative Party. First elected in Parliament in 2024, he is one of Canada's most experienced parliamentarians and has held several cabinet roles under Prime Minister Stephen Harper, including Minister of Employment and Social Development, Minister of State for Democratic Reform, and Minister of State for Finance. He is widely known as the strong advocate on affordability, economic opportunity, and government accountability. So with that, I will pass time to Mr. Poilievre.
Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction, Shakao. Thank you also for your great work fighting against drugs and crime in favor of property rights, small business, affordability. And thank you to Kenny Chu, former Member of Parliament, for being here as well. It's great to be back in the Lower Mainland to celebrate the Canadian Promise. What has brought me here is my focus on affordability and safety. This country of ours was always a place where anybody who worked hard could afford a home, have good food on the table every night, live in a safe neighborhood, gas their car up without breaking their bank. That was the country that I grew up in. Unfortunately, after 10 years of Liberal government, none of those things are true. People cannot afford food, homes, gas, or anything else. Crime and chaos is raging in our streets. Drug addictions have worsened. All of these are the direct result of Liberal laws and Liberal taxes that have driven up the cost of living and the crime in our streets. Worse, we're now seeing about 800 acres of Richmond land threatened by the Cowichan decision, which is partly the result of the Liberal government abandoning the argument for property rights in court with a directive from the Attorney General to stop defending property over other title. And now we have businesses that are turning down investments. They can't get financing. People are afraid to buy. The property market is seizing up, and Mark Carney has done absolutely nothing. Everything has gotten worse since Mark Carney became Prime Minister. More cost, more crime, more corruption, more of the same. He's just another Liberal. We need a change, and that's the change that we are offering as Conservatives. Our plan is to restore affordability. One, we've said, let's get rid of the gas tax. Save 25 cents a litre, $20 a fill-up, $1,200 for a family of 4 this year. We also want to get rid of the industrial carbon tax, lower income taxes so people keep more of their paychecks, end capital gains tax for anyone who reinvests in Canada. This will unlock economic growth and affordability for the people. We want to incentivize home building by removing all taxes on building homes and getting paying municipalities based on how much they allow homes to be built, rather than just paying them to build their bureaucracies. We're proposing a real plan, 4-point plan to protect your property rights, to argue in favor of the principle that private property comes first in any dispute, to say that no more deals should be signed with any First Nations that do not explicitly clarify that private property of homeowners comes first and foremost in law, period. We're also calling for tougher laws on crime, jail, not bail, for repeat offenders, a total ban on both the sale and the possession of all hard drugs, to get people treatment and recovery, not consumption sites. We want to shut down all the consumption sites and replace them with treatment centers that have a mission to get people completely off drugs. So that is our goal. Do you have anything that you think I should add to that, Jacko?
No.
That covers it? So again, our purpose is to be affordable, safe, and strong here at home in Canada so that we are unbreakable abroad. Thank you.
So any people would like to ask questions?
Mr. Poilievre?
Yes.
You have 3 by-election on the East Coast. why are you here? Like I know Kali was here too this week earlier.
Yeah, look.
Like, are you giving up? It's not your writing. You have nothing to lose. If you have 10 knocking door, help your candidate. Anything helps. Or you giving up on. You know what? None of this is considered writing, and the prospect of going to be that good. You're giving up away.
Well, look, we have great candidates in those ridings. That said, we recognize these are ridings that have been liberal for 50 years. They're ridings that the Liberals have typically, over the last half century, won by 30 or 40 points. So while we always try in every by-election, we also have a realistic approach. When there's a by-election in rural Alberta, Liberals don't expect to win it. But our message in every riding is always the same: affordability, safety, and strength for Canada.
So are you telling me that you predicted the Liberal will achieve their majority after this by-election?
Well, the majority is not because of the by-election. These ridings are ones Liberals already had before their resignations. It's a result of them using dirty backroom deals to overwhelm the results that Canadians gave them. So Mr. Carney has betrayed the people to seize power undemocratically in a way that will only make life more expensive, more dangerous, and our economy even weaker than it already was. We believe in democracy, and we believe Canadians should respect the will of the people who voted for them in their ridings.
All right, thank you very much.
Now, before I go to the next question,
Yes.
I just want to ask the person to identify yourself, right?
Sure.
I'm Andy with radio station in 1320.
Good to see you, Andy. Thank
very
you.
much. Good to
It's
see you again.
Jessica from Snow Goose Media. My question is, Canada has strong advantage in energy, especially hydro and nuclear, which are critical for AI era. What specific policy does Conservative Party have to position Canada as a global hub for AI instruction and data center?
Yes, you're quite right. Canada has an enormous advantage in energy, weather, and landmass to welcome AI data centers. We have the most natural hydroelectric power. We have the most uranium for nuclear power. We have the cheapest natural gas in the world. And we have enormous landmass on which to locate data centers. Finally, our cold weather makes it much cheaper to cool the data centers, so we don't have to spend as much money on air conditioning, which is a big expense when you have a 1 million square foot facility. So we should be dominating. The problem is, though, right now, believe it or not, for the first time ever, Canada's actually running a trade deficit in electricity. This is insane. We have more natural sources of electrical generation than any country on earth by far, and yet we can't produce enough electricity for our own needs. Why? It's because it takes 19 or 20 years to get a permit to build a hydroelectric dam, a nuclear facility, a natural gas power plant, and so a lot of investors who might contemplate a $500 million or $1 billion investment say they're going to go build elsewhere where they can get permits very quickly. I was just in Germany. They built an LNG terminal in 194 days. That included the permits, the construction, everything. Here in Canada, it takes about 15 years just to get the permit started. So, you know, countries are moving quickly for AI. They're not going to say, well, maybe we can have a data center in 20 years. They want it now. And these things are going up across the states in real time. So we have to go from having the second slowest building permits in the OECD to the fastest permits in the OECD. I would get rid of all of the anti-resource and construction laws, C-69, the duplication of environmental reviews. I would say that we would provide pre-permitting. So what I would do is use the powers under Bill C-5 to say, this area here is given a pre-permit for a data center and a neighboring power station. You don't even have to apply. Here are the rules, you have to follow. You have to protect nature. You can't poison the water. You have to protect the residents. But in this landmass, you have a permit pre-approved to go and build. And then the private sector has the certainty that they won't be held up in bureaucracy for years and years to come. If you do that, we will have enormous capability. Data centers are energy beasts. They use 9 times more electricity per search than does a Google search. So when you do a ChatGPT search, you use 9 times as much electricity as you would if you do a Google search. So we need lots of energy. We have lots of energy. The land, we just need to unblock it and get it built. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Since we are Chinese media, so I like to talk about the relationship between Canada and China. And as you know, Mr. Carney went to China, and the relationship is totally different. And our BC Premier, David Eby, gonna visit China soon. And this city, the city of the Richmond, and some business leader also planning have a delegation trip to China. So what's your view about the kind of the Canada's growing enthusiasm towards China? And since I know the economy is very important, but when we pursuing the profit, should we still consider the human rights and the security issue into that area?
Yes, of course we should. So my view is that China is a brilliant civilization whose people have brought enormous contributions to the world. And it is an incredible story that in little over a generation, China has gone from having 80% of its population living on less than $1 a day to being the 2nd biggest economy in the world. We can't ignore that. We need to be able to trade and talk with China, but not be dependent on Beijing or any other foreign power for that matter. So we also have to be realistic. We sell 20 times more to the United States than we sell to China. That is just the reality. In fact, we sell twice as much to the United States as we sell to the rest of the world combined. Mr. Carney's suggestion that we can replace our single biggest customer, security partner, and neighbor with a strategic partnership for a new world order with the regime in Beijing is not realistic. We must continue to trade with the United States. More than that, we need to reassert our sovereignty, stop foreign interference, repatriate data centers so that we control our own data, rebuild our military and assert our sovereignty in the north, and ensure that no country can interfere in our territory, our politics, or with our population.
Yesterday, I interviewed Taiwan's deputy foreign minister.
Yes.
And he mentioned about, hey, I want to buy, Taiwan want to buy more oil, gas, and the critical minerals from Canada. So what's your view about it? Is a kind of the good relationship starting point?
Sure, I think we should sell more of our oil to Asia in general. Look, we have the 3rd biggest supply of oil on planet Earth, but we can't get it to market. And that's not because foreign countries are keeping it out, it's because our government is keeping it in. We have anti-development law, environmental laws that prevent us from producing enough oil, a new industrial carbon tax that makes it very unprofitable to invest in oil and gas. It takes, we have only one and relatively small pipeline to the Pacific, and much of that oil still goes to the west coast of the United States. What I'm proposing is that we rapidly approve a pipeline to the Pacific with 1 million barrels of oil a day. We eliminate the industrial carbon tax, unblock production, massively grow our output of oil. We should approve about 6 LNG plants across the west coast that can ship liquefied gas to Asia. This would literally bring hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of wealth back to our country, strengthen our dollar, and make us the richest country in the world.
Hi, Mr. Poirier. Jean's from BC Bay News. And this is my 2nd time to be sitting with you.
Thank you.
The very first time was last February when Mr. Donald Trump just announced the tariff on Canada.
Okay.
So the Liberal parties has consistently made the battling Donald Trump and the tariff on Canada is as one of those the most efficient campaigns that's helping them in elections and in polls. So my question is, what are the Conservative Party's potential strategies to dispel the fear, and as well as call out the blatant exploitation of these issues by the Liberals?
Yes, well, I would start by saying What has Mark Carney done? It's been a year where he keeps telling us he's going to do something about Trump's tariffs, and what has happened? Nothing. The American tariffs, in fact, have gotten worse under Mark Carney. They've doubled on aluminum, steel, and autos. They have tripled on Canadian lumber. And I have not seen a single gain that Mr. Carney has made whatsoever. He's not negotiated a single new free trade agreement anywhere in the world. He's not approved a pipeline. He's not approved any major project of any kind in a year. We have the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. In every measurement, we are now weaker. Mark Carney has made Canada weaker relative to President Trump than we were a year ago when he made all these promises. So I think it's time for people to ask, what are the results that he is getting? Because I can't see them. We have a real plan to counter the tariffs and push for free trade with the US. What I've said is, let's build up our leverage. Let's unblock our resources to have a massive strategic oil and mineral reserve, and say to our American friends, you can have access to buy these minerals from us on a preferred basis if you give us tariff-free access to your economy. That is how we go forward with something to offer, in exchange for which we ask for something in return. And I think we have a lot of other things to offer. Lower cost lumber to build affordable homes for American youth. Lower cost aluminum for the most popular American truck, the Ford F-150. It's an aluminum shelled truck. The Americans can't make aluminum. We've got the aluminum. Low cost oil for cheaper gas at the pumps. These are things Americans want. I would say to the president, these are the things we have to offer. Why don't you give us tariff-free access to your market, and both of us will be richer, stronger, and safer. Thank you.
Hi, Poliev. Mr. Poliev, I'm Davin here from Kenman. So thank you so much for the chance to be here. So I want to bring it to here about Hong Kong immigrants. So in the past 5 years since the Hong Kong pathway is introduced, there were over 50,000 Hong Kong immigrants coming over because of this policy. We thank you for that. But now, instead of not only private property right, but also we need you to help us protect the rights of these Hong Kong immigrants because of the bureaucracy black hole of RCC. These Hong Kong immigrants, highly skilled, highly educated, they bring their skills, they are paying good taxes, good great jobs here already several years, ready to be PR and to be citizen. But now they're in a black hole. So there's nowhere to be a PR, nowhere to be a citizen. So is there anything that you could think about, just like what you said, for full demand plans to protect property rights, to help protect these new Hong Kong immigrants? Because what's even concerning is because of the Bill C-12, which expands the RCC power to slash any immigrant program for public interest. So these people, they have put a lot of efforts here, everything here, families. So what do you think of?
Well, you raise a great point, and obviously Hong Kongers have made an immense contribution to Canada, particularly here on the West Coast. The people from Hong Kong have brought business, investment, entrepreneurship, countless entrepreneurs. Yes, you saw me talk about him.
Yes.
Yes, he will a great investor and a great global businessman, so I admire the people, and these are the kinds of immigrants we want, right?
Yes.
Hardworking, law-abiding, disciplined,
Exactly.
traditional, good people, and I think the problem is it's getting ensnared in bureaucracy. And meanwhile, we have all these fake refugees and people who've come from other streams that are not actually refugees, who are totally gumming up the system. So I want to get back to lawful immigration, where we prioritize those who can contribute most to the Canadian economy, including Hong Kongers. And it so happens that many of them are in danger in Hong Kong, so it is in our interest to help those people. I would like to ask Chakao if he wants to add something to this.
Yes, we have received a lot of requests for help from this group of people, and as you mentioned, they are now stuck into a black hole.
Yes.
Especially they don't know how long they have to wait in order to get their status. And as you mentioned, these are really hardworking people who can paying tax and contributing to our economy. So I and my colleagues have been trying our best to help them getting the status clear. But this government right now, they are not doing anything. They are not making any kind of a positive change. So myself and my colleagues are working very hard and very diligently helping the Hong Kong immigrants so that they can be contributing members of our society.
Exactly, because these guys, they have valid work permit, but now they got expired, but they cannot renew their work permit or study permit on time. But they got a job already, and they're losing their job, so they cannot pay taxes. They cannot even stay here as a legal resident here.
Yeah.
So these guys, they are not refugees, they're not anyone. They want to be stay here, just like just like your wife. It's another immigrant story. They bring their kids, bring their skills, contribute to Canada, but we need your help.
Thank you. Yes, so we will champion the Hong Kong residents here, and hopefully we can find a prompt solution to this and get moving.
Okay, so because of the time, so maybe last question.
Yes, sir.
Hayden from Fairchild TV. Thank you for joining us today. Some people are worried, concerned that you may consider stepping down as leader amid internal different views from the Conservative Party. So how do you respond to this, and what do you plan to manage or unify those views within your caucus?
Thank you very much. Well, you shouldn't be worried about that because it's not going to happen. I intend to fight on. The people of Canada put enormous faith in giving me a record number of votes for the Conservative Party in the last election, a record support in my first leadership race with over 300,000 votes, and then a record showing at our recent convention where 87% of our party reaffirmed their support for me. My leadership does not come from backroom power brokers on Parliament Hill. It doesn't come from backstabbers or party switchers. It comes from the people of this country who have supported me because of my determination to make this affordable, safe, and promising again here in Canada. I work for those people, and I understand there's a lot of very powerful entrenched interests in Ottawa that want me out because they don't want anything to change. They want to keep it exactly the way it is. And that's why they've been working so hard to get me out of this position. But I've got news for them. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stand up and fight for the millions of people who have put their faith in me, and we are going to keep fighting, and we're going to win, and we're going to restore this country, a country of promise for all Canadians.
About the floor crossing, what steps will you also take to prevent more MPs from leaving the party?
Well, every member of Parliament should honor their constituents. They were elected overwhelmingly by their constituents to vote to be Conservative. You know, I think of the most recent lady who crossed, Ali Blunt. Under my leadership, the Conservative vote went up massively in her riding. A majority of people voted Conservative in that riding, not because of her. If it was her, then she would have done better in the prior election when she was the candidate. It was because of the strong Conservative message that I brought forward. So I would say respect the will of the people who voted Conservative in these ridings. Now Mark Carney wants to steal a majority government so he can concentrate power and make this a top-down government-controlled country. We've already had enough of that. Look at the state of our country after 10 years of these Liberals. Nobody can afford food and homes. Look at the crime and the chaos in our streets, the drug overdoses. That is the result of 10 years of backroom backstabbers and power brokers running this country for themselves rather than having a government that respects and honors the people.
Oh, Mr. Poirier?
Yes.
So my question is, what do you have any comments on the BC Liberals? BC Conservatives, because they are raising the leaders, the party leaders. Do you have any comments on the candidates?
Well, I think they should be truly conservative, and their focus should be on making British Columbia affordable, safe, and strong, that they should stand up for traditional family values, for parental rights, that parents should be able to raise their kids with their own values, that they should stand up against the radical gender ideology in the schools, against the hard drug agenda, and they should stand up for property rights. I believe that the Conservative Party of British Columbia will stand up for all of those things.
Mr. Collier, why we end up in this situation? What happened is, United States using fracking oil,
Yes.
and their own refinery cannot process that. They have to rely on our oil. We are heavier crude oil and Venezuela and from the Middle East. They actually holding their lifeline. But why in the negotiation between us and Donald Trump, we are at the downside? Like we actually holding the rope.
I know.
Like we can cut off our oil and they will be dead. Like not this way.
Well, the problem is we can't cut off our oil because we have nowhere else to sell it right now. We don't have enough pipelines. We have one pipeline to the West Coast, and a lot of the oil that comes out of that still goes to the West Coast of the United States of America. So America is still getting about 85 to 90% of our oil and gas at enormous price discounts because we cannot diversify our markets. That is our mistake. That is the Liberal government's mistake. They have blocked pipelines and LNG plants that could have allowed us to sell more of our product overseas and given us leverage in the present day negotiations. So that's what we have to change.
I have talked to the NDP job minister. We actually mentioned about, I assume you're talking about Trans Mountain Pipeline.
Yes.
It's only 70% in capacity. We're not being fully utilized that pipeline yet. So why build a new one?
Well, first of all, I'm not proposing the government should build a new one. I'm proposing that we should permit it and let the private sector build it. The pipeline is basically at capacity. At various times, there might not be as much running through it, but it is oversubscribed. And part of the reason why we don't have enough oil to fill other pipelines right now is because there are too many laws preventing an increase in production. An industrial carbon tax, which makes it very expensive to produce oil in Canada. I would get rid of that tax.
Okay,
Then
so
you've got one last thing. I would say we need to rapidly approve new mines and in situ plants in Alberta to produce additional oil that can supply the increased demand through Asia. That would make a pipeline to the Pacific economical. Thank you. Sorry
so
about that, John.
because of time, so we have to cut off here. But
I'm talking too much.
No.
Sorry.
You know,
No,
I just-
we are asking too much.
I just
No,
want
not at
to
all.
You should come to
add
visit
one
more.
to the question that you asked. Now, for those people who cross the floor, I think they have to be accountable to their constituents, and also they have to explain why they cross the floor. But I just want to say that my experience in the caucus is that it's very positive in the sense that I've never seen such a caucus that we're so openly discussing issues, and people are free to express their opinions. Even sometimes, may not be consistent with, the majority of the caucus members. But people are free to discuss issues within the National Congress. And I've seen Mr. Poilievre being very open and receiving different ideas. I spoke to him freely and gave him my thoughts. And he may not totally agree all the time, but this is kind of free flow discussion that I really treasure. And I can say that all major decisions are being made by the caucus in a very democratic way. So people can really get their opinions heard. Now, they may not be able to get their ways, but they can get their opinions being heard. So I think I can testify honestly that I'm very confident in Mr. Poilievre's leadership. And I also feel that, I'm glad to be part of the Conservative Party. And we are fighting hard for the Canadians.
Thank you
At all
very much
times.
for that, my
Thank
friend.
you. We're
Thank you
nearing the
very
end of
much.
our time, folks.
Just want to say one thing, just one last thing. It was Chakao who said to me, we need to take a strong stand on property rights. And he came to me multiple times and said, listen, my constituents are in a crisis. I need you to step up. Here's a plan that we should put forward. And it was because of that leadership that we were able to put forward a 4-point plan just the other day. So this is another example of where leadership doesn't always come just from the top. It can come from the members of parliament themselves. That is a bottom-up democracy that we all treasure and cherish. So thank you, Chakao, and thank you all for making so much time for me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.